Ladies and gentlemen, basketball aficionados, and die-hard fans tuning in from all corners of the globe, welcome to a broadcast that is not just a recap of a game, but an autopsy of athletic greatness. We are here to talk about a phenomenon, a living legend, and a sequence of events that unfolded on the hardwood that will be etched into the annals of basketball history. What we witnessed was not merely a contest of physical prowess. It was a psychological battlefield where the stakes were monumental, the pressure was suffocating, and the outcome rested on the shoulders of giants. We are diving deep, and I mean Mariana Trench deep, into the recent PBA Season 50 Commissioners' Cup clash between the storied franchise of Brownlee Geneva San Miguel and the relentless, high-octane Converge Fiberzers. But more specifically, we are here to dissect the intense, game-clutching performance of a man who needs no introduction, but deserves every accolade showered upon him, Justin Brownlee. When we speak of the word clutch in the context of professional sports, we are not talking about a simple statistical anomaly. We are talking about an ethereal quality, an intangible trait that separates the good from the great and the great from the immortal. Clutch is the ability to compartmentalize fear. It is a capacity to look into the abyss of defeat, feel the collective anxiety of tens of thousands of screaming fans, and somehow slow down your own heartbeat. When the shot clock is ticking down like a time bomb, when the opposing defense is draped over you like a suffocating blanket, and when the margin for error is absolutely zero, that is when true clutch performers do not just survive, they elevate. They breathe different air. And in the modern era of the Philippine Basketball Association, there's perhaps no player breathing that rarefied air quite like Justin Brownlee. Let us set the stage for a moment, because context is everything. You have Brownlee Geneva, the undisputed kings of the crowd, the bearers of the fabled never say die spirit. This is a team that does not just play basketball. They carry the emotional weight of a nation. Every missed shot is a collective sigh. Every made basket is an eruption of pure, unadulterated joy. For decades, this franchise has built its identity on resilience, on coming back from insurmountable odds, and on play with fiery passion that borders on the spiritual. Into this crucible steps Justin Brownlee, a man who arrived on Philippine shores years ago as a relatively unknown replacement import and has since transformed into a cultural icon, a naturalized citizen, and a hero known affectionately as Noipi. He understands the gravity of the jersey he wears. On the other side of the court, you have the Converge Fiberzers. Do not let their relatively recent entry into the league fool you. This is an organization that has rapidly established itself as a disruptor. They are young, they are hungry, and they play a brand of basketball that is analytical, fast-paced, and incredibly dangerous. Armed with explosive talent like Mikey Williams, who can conduct a shooting clinic on any given night, and the towering presence of Justine Baltazar, secure in the paint. Converge represents a new wave of PBA contenders. They do not care about history. They care about now. They stepped onto the court ready to dismantle the Geneva mystique, ready to prove that the old guard is vulnerable, and ready to make a statement in this historic Season 50 Commissioners' Cup. And what a stage it was. The Commissioners' Cup is a grueling, unforgiving tournament where the integration of world-class imports with local talent dictates everything. The chemistry has to be instant, the execution flawless. And on this particular night, the narrative was complicated even before the opening tip. Brownlee Geneva was forced to march into battle without their towering anchor, Japeth Aguilar. When you lose a player of Aguilar's caliber, a man who dictates the geometry of the court with his sheer wingspan, his rim protection, and his ability to finish above the cylinder, it completely alters the tactical landscape. The defensive rotations have to be tighter. The rebounding must become a collective, five-man obsession. And the scoring load must be redistributed. It was a glaring vulnerability, a chink in the armor that Converge was eager to exploit. No Japeth Aguilar, no problem. The headlines would later read, but in the heat of the moment, it was a massive hurdle. This game was an absolute powder keg. It was a seesaw battle of wills where neither team was willing to yield an inch of hardwood. We saw spectacular playmaking from both sides. We saw rookies stepping up like seasoned veterans. We saw tactical adjustments from the brilliant mind of Geneva's head coach Tim Cohn, the master of the triangle offense, and counterpunches from the Converge coaching staff. But as the game wound down to its final, agonizing minutes, the complexities of basketball were stripped away, leaving only the raw, fundamental essence of the sport, one-on-one duels, sheer willpower, and the demand for a savior. When Converge initiated their late-game surge, fueled by the electrifying scoring of Mikey Williams, the momentum shifted entirely. The Fiberzers were smelling blood. The crowd, usually a deafening roar of Geneva faithful, was teetering on the edge of nervous silence. You could feel the tension, thick and palpable. It is in these precise, agonizing moments that the history of a game is written. It is the moment where average players look to pass. Good players hope to get fouled, but legendary players demand the ball. Justin Brownlee demanded the ball. He finished the night with an awe-inspiring double-double. 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. But the raw numbers, as staggering as they are, do not tell the whole story. They do not convey the degree of difficulty of his shots. They do not capture the sheer physical exhaustion he must have felt carrying the offensive load. Without Aguilar, they do not illustrate the defensive attention he commanded, fighting through double teams, navigating screens, and taking relentless contact from a Converge defense desperate to stop him. Brownlee went into absolute clutch mode, a terrifying state of flow where the basket looks as wide as the ocean, and the opposing defenders seem to be moving in slow motion. He hit crucial, back-breaking shots that defied logic and physics. He orchestrated the offense with the precision of a maestro. He grabbed monumental rebounds among the trees. This was not just a win, it was a statement. It was a reminder to the rest of the league that as long as Justin Brownlee is lacing up his sneakers, Barongi Geneva is never out of fight. So buckle up, grab a notebook, and prepare to have your basketball minds blown, because we are about to break down every screen, every rotation, and every clutch shot of this absolute thriller. We are going to examine the tactical brilliance, the individual heroics, and the heartbreaking misses that define Geneva versus Converge. This is the deep dive you've been waiting for. Let us methodically dissect this masterpiece, quarter by quarter, possession by possession. Starting from the opening tip, the first quarter of any high-stakes basketball game is a crucial feeling-out process. It is akin to the opening round of a heavyweight boxing match, where both fighters are throwing probing jabs, testing the opponent's reflexes, and establishing their preferred tempo. For the Converge Fiberzers, the game plan was abundantly clear from the moment the referee tossed the ball into the air, exploit the absence of Japeth Aguilar, and establish dominance in the paint early and often. And they executed this plan with ruthless efficiency, largely thanks to Justine Baltazar. Baltazar came out of the gates with a massive start in the first quarter. Without Aguilar's towering presence to deter him, Baltazar was able to carve out deep post position, demand the entry pass, and utilize his impeccable footwork to generate high-percentage looks. The Geneva interior defense, usually fortified by Aguilar's weak-side shot blocking, was forced to overcommit to Baltazar. This early inside-out gravity created by Converge forced Geneva's perimeter defenders to sag off their assignments, opening up driving lanes and catch-and-shoot opportunities for Converge wings. The Fiberzers banked on this strong start, playing with zero latency, moving the ball with crisp, decisive actions, and taking the first quarter advantage. But Geneva, staying true to their pedigree, did not panic. They understood that a basketball game is a marathon of adjustments. Even in the face of Converge's early surge, we saw flashes of Geneva's offensive brilliance. We have to highlight the spectacular playmaking of R.J. Barrientos in that opening frame. Barrientos delivered an absolutely mesmerizing no-look pass to Stephen Holt that left the Converge defense completely paralyzed. That single play was a microcosm of what makes Geneva so dangerous. Even when their primary options are stifled, their secondary playmakers have the vision and the audacity to create something out of nothing. It kept Geneva within striking distance and prevented Converge from building an insurmountable lead early on. As we transitioned into the second quarter, the narrative shifted from the front court to the back court. This is where the tactical chess match truly began. Converge's coaching staff recognized that Geneva was starting to adapt to Baltazar's presence inside, so they unleashed their perimeter arsenal, specifically running actions to free up Mikey Williams. Williams is a unique offensive weapon. He combines elite ball handling with a lightning-quick release and limitless range. In the second quarter, Williams was delivering brilliant finds, reading the Geneva pick-and-roll coverage with surgical precision. If the big man dropped, Williams would pull up for the mid-range jumper. If the defense hedged hard, he would hit the roll man in stride. It was a clinic in offensive decision-making. Geneva had to dig deep. This is where the genius of Coach Tim Cohn's system comes to the forefront. When the primary actions break down, the triangle offense, or the hybrid variations Cohn utilizes, relies on spacing, cutting, and high IQ ball movement. Geneva started forcing Converge to work harder defensively, extending possessions and hunting for mismatches. And, of course, they began to systematically feed Justin Brownlee. Brownlee's second quarter was a study in patience. He didn't force the issue. He allowed the game to come to him, taking what the defense yielded, whether it was a timely cut to basket or a spot-up three in transition. By the time the halftime buzzer sounded, the tension in the arena was electric. Both teams had thrown heavy punches, but neither had delivered a knockout blow. The stage was set for a chaotic and defining second half. The third quarter is famously known in basketball circles as a championship quarter. It is the frame where coaching adjustments are tested and where sheer stamina begins to separate the contenders from pretenders. And it was in this third quarter that Justin Brownlee truly hit his mark. Recognizing that the game was hanging in the balance, Brownlee flipped a switch. The Noipe spirit completely took over. He began to operate from the mid-post, a location on the floor where he is historically devastating. When Brownlee catches a ball at the elbow, it presents an unsolvable puzzle for the defense. If you play him tight, he has the explosive first step to blow past you for a layup. If you give him a cushion, he will rise up and drain a silky smooth jumper right in your face. In the third quarter, Brownlee spearheaded Geneva's counterattack. He fired up key baskets that not only chipped away at the Converge lead, but also ignited the crowd. Every time Converge threatened to pull away, Brownlee answered. He hit heavily contested jumpers. He fought through contact for N1 finishes, and he began to actively rebound on the defensive end, initiating the fast break himself. And let's not overlook the crucial contributions of the supporting cast. The third quarter was punctuated by a massive momentum-shifting buzzer beater by Nards Pinto. Pinto's clutch shot at the end of the frame was a dagger to the psychological momentum of Converge. It sent a clear message. Geneva's supporting cast was locked in, and they were not going to let Brownlee fight this battle alone. But then, we arrive at the fourth quarter, the final 12 minutes. This is the realm where legends are minted. This is crunch time, and Converge, to their immense credit, absolutely refused to back down. They countered Geneva's momentum by putting the ball in the hands of Mikey Williams and essentially saying, "Take us home." Williams responded by conducting an absolute shooting clinic in the fourth quarter. It was terrifying to watch if you were a Geneva fan. Williams was hitting shots from well beyond the arc, creating separation with elite step-backs, and finishing acrobatic layups in traffic. He was a one-man wrecking crew, seemingly determined to steal the victory from the jaws of the Gin Kings. The Converge lead fluctuated. The pressure was immense. Every single possession felt like a game-deciding moment. A missed free throw was a tragedy. A defensive stop was a triumph. And it was in this fiery crucible that Justin Brownlee proved, yet again, why he is considered one of the greatest imports in PBA history. Down the stretch, when the offensive sets broke down, when the plays on the whiteboard dissolved into pure improvisation, the ball found its way to Brownlee. Let's talk about his final stat line again. 33 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. But let's break down the how and the when of those points. In the clutch, Brownlee's decision-making was flawless. He didn't just settle for perimeter shots. He attacked the paint, drawing fouls and getting to the line to stop the clock and secure guaranteed points. His 10 rebounds were absolutely vital. Without Japeth Aguilar, Converge had a distinct rebounding advantage on paper. But Brownlee, playing well above his listed height, willed himself to the glass, securing crucial defensive rebounds to end Converge possessions and grabbing offensive boards to give Geneva second-chance opportunities. His 4 assists in this game represent the gravity he holds. When he drove to the basket in the fourth quarter, Converge was forced to send 2, sometimes 3 defenders at him. Brownlee, possessing elite court vision, recognized the double teams instantly and found the open man, trusting his teammates in the biggest moments of the game. He didn't just score, he elevated the entire floor. The final minutes were a blur of intense defensive stands and clutch shot making. When Converge hit a 3, Brownlee answered with a tough 2. When Converge clamped down defensively, Brownlee found a sliver of daylight and exploited it. He was a maestro conducting a symphony of high-stakes basketball. The final buzzer sounded, securing a hard-fought, exhausting, and completely exhilarating victory for Brownlee Geneva San Miguel. They had survived the Converge onslaught. They had overcome the absence of their premier big man, and they had done it on the back of a legendary performance by their adopted son. This game was a tactical masterclass in survival. Tim Cohn's ability to patch the holes in his defense without Aguilar, shifting to smaller, quicker lineups that relied on aggressive swarming and trapping, was brilliant. The resilience of the Geneva supporting cast, from Barrientos' playmaking to Pinto's timely shooting, cannot be overstated. But the undeniable, overarching narrative of this game, the deep dive takeaway that we must all acknowledge, is the sheer, unadulterated greatness of Justin Brownlee in clutch situations. He is not just an import. He is the heartbeat of a franchise. As we begin to unpack the sheer magnitude of what we just witnessed, it becomes abundantly clear that this was not merely a regular season game. It was a defining chapter in the ongoing saga of the PBA's 50th season. The implications of this clash between Brownlee Geneva San Miguel and the Converge 5 reserves will ripple throughout the rest of the Commissioner's Cup, altering the trajectory of both franchises and setting a terrifying benchmark for the rest of the league. For the Converge 5 reserves, this loss will undoubtedly sting. It is a bitter pill to swallow when you play with that level of intensity, when you execute your game plan so well in the early stages, and when a player like Mikey Williams delivers a brilliant fourth-quarter performance, only to fall short at the final hurdle. However, beneath the immediate disappointment, there lies profound silver lining. Converge proved tonight that they belong in the upper echelon of the PBA hierarchy. They went toe-to-toe with the crowd darlings, a team steeped in championship pedigree, and pushed them to the absolute limit. The emergence of Justine Baltazar as a dominant force in the paint, combined with the explosive perimeter scoring of Williams, makes them a nightmare matchup for any team in a 7-game series. This organization is young, they are resilient, and they will use the pain of this clutch defeat as fuel. They are not retreating. They are recalibrating. The rest of the league has been officially put on notice. Converge is a legitimate threat to the throne. But the story of the night, the narrative that will dominate the sports pages, the social media feeds, and the water cooler conversations across the Philippines, is the enduring legacy of Justin Brownlee. We have exhausted the superlatives. We have analyzed the statistics. But at a certain point, analyzing Brownlee transcends mere basketball analytics. It becomes a study in character. To perform at that level, under that specific type of pressure, missing a key piece like Japeth Aguilar requires a mental fortitude that is exceptionally rare. Brownlee's 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists against a desperate Converge defense solidify his status not just as a great player, but as an irreplaceable institution within Philippine basketball. He embodies a never-say-die mantra in its purest form. He is the ultimate safety net for Coach Tim Cohn, the player who can take a broken play and turn it into a highlight reel, the leader who can look a chaotic situation in the eye and instill total calm in his teammates. When the bright lights are on, when the arena is deafening, and when the game is hanging by a thread, Justin Brownlee does not flinch. He delivers. For Brownlee Geneva, this victory is a massive momentum builder. Surviving a scare like this without Aguilar proves their depth, their coaching brilliance, and their championship medal. It forces the rest of the league to reckon with a terrifying thought. If Geneva can dig deep and win a gritty, clutch-heavy game like this shorthanded, how dangerous will they be when they are fully healthy? They have weathered the storm, and they have emerged stronger, more cohesive, and fiercely confident. As we wrap up this extensive deep dive, we are reminded of why we love this game so fiercely. We love it for the drama, the tactical brilliance, and the raw, unscripted emotion. We love it for the moments when athletes push themselves beyond their perceived limits to achieve something extraordinary. The Geneva versus Converge clash gave us all of that and more. It gave us a duel between brilliant guards, a battle in the trenches, and a clutch performance for the ages. Thank you for joining me on this comprehensive journey through one of the most intense games of the season. The PBA Season 50 Commissioner's Cup is shaping up to be an absolute classic, and if this game is any indication of what is to come, we are all in for a spectacular ride. Stay passionate. Keep supporting the beautiful game of basketball.